Everybody, welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Dallas. Marshall Sutcliffe here in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen.
Yeah, here we have the beginning of the semifinals.
We do. Carlos Becerra Reyes, he's on the right side. He just played himself a Temple of Abandon. He's got a deck that we haven't seen on the cameras yet today. Ignore the we're in the semis and they're not 2-1, so this is just game one, but that is William Huey Jensen, Hall of Famer on the left-hand side. Playing blue-white control, and here's an Ash Zealot, which is going to resolve and hit Huey for 2.
Yeah, it's one of the really nice things about Carlos's deck in a matchup like this. He gets to attack with a lot of his creatures the turn they come into play.
That's right.
And Huey, most of his cards that are going to be interacting on like a grander scale, things like Detention Sphere and Supreme Verdict, those are sorcery speed cards. So he's going to have to take some damage before he really gets to interact in any significant sort of way.
That's right. All right, and here's Domri Raid. Exactly what William Jensen did not want to see here, as now Carlos is attacking from 2 different angles. He's got, he's going to pressure Huey's life total with this Ash Zealot, and he's also got Domri Raid there to start drawing him some cards.
And the Domri Raid is a pretty good card against these control mirrors. One, it can passively draw you a card randomly every, 2 turns or so.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the most interesting parts about Domri Raid against control decks is that it's just this ticking time bomb to where if it does go ultimate, it's pretty hard for a control deck to beat you.
Nigh unbeatable for sure. All right, so Huey plays his 4th land, and he's going to play a Jace, Architect of Thought, tick it up to 5, and pass the turn back. So he's got a bit of a reprieve here.
It's definitely a good
He is tapped out,
good
however.
plan.
Yeah, so Carlos going to put Domri Raid up to 5 here and reveal a Boros Reckoner.
Yeah,
not the
basically
most,
like a free card.
Immediate threat here.
Not at all, but I mean, 3 power is going to be relevant with that Jace on the table. He also has the option of maybe running out a Chandra's Phoenix this turn. He has Ash Zealot in hand too, so I mean, he has a lot of options. One thing that might be a nice play would be. I'm not really sure. I think I go with. Is that a Phoenix or no? Oh no, he doesn't have that. So, I'm having trouble deciding what to do on this turn too. I think I play Boros Reckoner and pass.
And him too.
Yeah, but that was actually a pretty difficult turn for him. He had many options. All right. So Huey going to subtract 2 loyalty from his Jace Architect of Thought and finds 2 lands in a Missouri's Tron.
Okay.
So he has 2 Supreme Verdicts in hand from the looks of things already.
Okay. So that's nice, but that Domri Raid is an issue.
Definitely.
So Verdict here, that's step 1. And pass a turn back. So here's Carlos. Again, he finds himself with enough pressure to keep forcing Huey to tap out every turn, meaning that counterspells haven't become much of an issue for Carlos. He's had pretty much free reign to resolve whatever he wants. He's going to scry first, which is interesting because then he gets to use Domri Raid, although it actually ended up going to the bottom of the deck. And he's going to not reveal that, so it wasn't a creature.
And I imagine he's just going to Ash Zealot here and kill the Jace. Yeah, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, he's also going to play out Burning Tree Emissary to bolster his board position a bit.
Yeah, gives him a really good devotion count. A little bit surprised that he chose to play the Scryland there. He wanted to increase the value of the Domri a little bit, but if he had instead chosen to play the land untapped, he could have played Boros Reckoner and Ash Zealot on the same turn.
Okay.
But I think he's going to draw a Supreme Verdict either way, so it might have worked out better this way when all's said and done.
Huey's on 16 life, so in a pretty reasonable position as far as life totals go.
Yeah, I mean, he has time. He can take a hit, maybe. This is not a red deck with a ton of reach, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The red decks that we saw Huey play against, or the red deck that we saw Huey play against last round in the quarterfinals, that deck was all burn. So there, like, Huey was just trying to draw cards, fill his hand up with counterspells, and then close the game up with a Sphinx's Revelation. Here, cards like Supreme Verdict are the important cards. Detention Sphere. He's actually trying to interact with the board.
Wow. Here it is, Divination. Trying to get further ahead and dig here. He's going to give his opponent a chance to play into that Supreme Verdict a little bit more. Has to discard, though. Pass the turn back. So now Domri Raid really looking to be a major issue. He actually draws another Domri Raid as well, though it really is about that ultimate pretty soon. Ooh, Fanatic of Mogus off the top as well.
And here I imagine we're going to see...
Which is good for 6 damage, potentially.
Imagine we're just going to see that Fanatic.
You just play it, right?
Yeah, it looks like he also has a Storm Breath Dragon in hand, which I don't think he can play because, I mean, obviously, he doesn't want to play that into counter magic mana. He knows that his opponent's going to need a card like Supreme Verdict at some point or another. So.
Yeah, Huey's set up for next turn that he can play Supreme Verdict and still have a Dissolve left over as well, so he's going to protect himself a bit from it, but he's got to use Dissolve on that right here. He just doesn't want to take 6 damage to the head. He's thinking about what he wants to do with that Scry card. He's going to put it on the bottom of his library, not on the top.
Yeah. And
attack for 4.
See, like, Carlos' deck is pretty well set up against these control decks.
He
right?
looks to be totally fine to me. I mean, maybe this is a particularly good draw, but he's just in a great spot here.
It's a fine draw.
Yeah. And Domri Raid is smiling.
You know what they say about Domri Raid?
No.
He smiles.
I don't. All right, so
the whole world smiles with him.
Mutavault gets active to take down Domri Raid from 7 to 5, so a little bit of a reprieve there for Huey. And he's going to play a Jace and plus it and say go. All right, so Huey still in this very much so. Keeping pressure on Domri Raid. Back up to 6. Another Fanatic of Mogus. I'm sure Huey just said sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I'm sure he wasn't very happy about
one.
it. Mm-hmm.
So this Fanatic right now, this just kills a Jace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that he can throw around. It's also half of Huey's life total. So he could bring Huey down to 4
Oh, yeah,
here.
he can just cast Frostburn Weird and then Fanatic and then win, right?
Well, no, because Jace plussed. So.
Oh, Jace did plus. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind. Yeah.
So,
so
take out Jace. It's plenty. And now attack with both of my creatures.
And choosing to hold on to that Frostburn Weird. He's still playing around Supreme Verdict. I appreciate that. He doesn't want to, he doesn't want to get overzealous just because he's ahead and
right.
He's in the lead right now. It doesn't mean that he should be getting hasty, if you will.
That's right. Overzealous, hasty. I'm with you. All right, so Wrath and then activate Mutavault, attack Domri Raid, bring him down to 4. So Huey's doing everything he can to manage the situation that he's found himself in here.
Yeah, I think.
But that Domri Raid is just so nasty. It just keeps ticking up. It's drawn him a couple of extra cards this game. And Carlos has Huey down to 10. The question is, can Huey stabilize his board enough so that he can fire off that Sphinx's Revelation he's got in his hand? Because you got to figure he's going to find all the tools he needs if he can blast off one of those for the full amount.
Definitely.
Domri Raid is really the issue preventing him, but here comes Stormbreath Dragon. Yeah,
and that's a good one.
Plays around Syncopate. Probably knows his opponent.
Here.
Yeah, doesn't have it. And there's, a Nykthos as well. Not
pretty
great
good
here, but...
I'm pretty good in general, though. I mean,
we've
it
seen
can
that
be
just
used
get explosive.
Next turn, if he gets to untap with any semblance of permanence in play, then he can very easily monstrous the Stormbreath Dragon while also, casting the rest of the spells in his hand at the same time. So
right. Yeah, he's got mana to monstrous it now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, but I mean, he can cast the rest of the spells in his hand and still monstrous it thanks to Nykthos.
I see. So this is going to get really awkward for Huey now because he does have Sphinx's Revelation ×2 in his hand, and if he ever fires it off, depending on how many cards he has in his hand, Carlos can Stormbreath Dragon in response and maybe even kill him.
Yeah, he's probably going to need to use the -3 on Elspeth here. I think that's his real out.
Yeah. All right, so Elspeth's going to go to 1 and take down Stormbreath Dragon. So again, Huey has the answer he needs and is keeping pressure on Domri Raid. You still got to feel like
Really
he's behind
impressed
here,
with
but
how well
just,
he's been playing this game.
Yeah, he's just been hanging right in there. Because Carlos has been bringing the beats. I mean, he has had play after play after play. All right, so starting to brick on Domri Raid a little bit here. That's good news for Huey Jensen fans. All right, Boris Reckoner for Carlos.
Things are starting to get interesting here. Carlos, there were a few different turns where he could have had another guy in play as a blocker and maybe protected that Domri Raid a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that first one he decided to attack with both creatures, but that let Mutavault through.
So here I think you probably fight Domri Raid, right? Domri Raid, fight Boros Reckoner with a token.
That
kill another token.
Virtually guarantees that Elspeth dies this turn.
Attack.
Yeah, fight.
Yep.
Kill a token. And then he can just swing Boros Reckoner at Elspeth with impunity here, right?
Yep.
Both of them.
That makes sense.
So
Elspeth down.
This is huge here. I mean, getting Elspeth off the table would be a big one. Now, can Huey do anything about this?
Huey can...
oh, he's got an Azorius Charm.
Ooh,
all right.
That'll
do something about that. He also had a Mutavault down there, too. So he had a couple of options for saving Elspeth, but he chose to Azorius Charm away the Reckoner. And that's after the Domri Raid was already used for the turn as well, so he's not going to be drawing that card off of Domri. Wow, Huey Jensen.
He played this game pretty masterfully.
Just being a master.
That Domri came down on turn 3 and has never left the battlefield. It has gone up every turn except this one where it went down.
Right. And somehow Huey's going to be able to fire off a Sphinx's Revelation for 4 here.
Yep.
And he does put himself back up to 10. Jeez. Reload the hand, maybe even find a way to deal with Domri Raid once and for all. Actually, he has Mutavault anyway, so he can just kill Domri Raid, assuming that Carlos doesn't have anything else. And I don't think Carlos does have anything else. Twin Mutavaults. Elspeth. But he doesn't.
He doesn't use that Revelation.
He doesn't what?
Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't get in to kill the Domri with the Mutavaults. This is a crazy game.
This is an insane game. I guess if you draw 7 off of Sphinx's Revelation, you're sure you're going to find an answer there?
It's a big game.
That's huge. 7 cards.
7
that's,
cards.
That's
and
fair.
7
That's how
life.
many you start with, right? I don't see an issue here.
Soon he'll find that elixir of immortality, and then it's looking like
he did find what he needed there for Domri raid as well with the detention sphere. I guess he just wanted that extra card there. This is the semifinals. These players are playing to make it to be the last 2 players standing here. This is game 1.
If he is going to go ahead and detention sphere this Burris Reckoner, then he can just attack the Domri with his Mutavaults.
All right, so he can do that this time.
Yep. So gets in for 1 at Carlos' face, 3 at the Domri.
And, geez, Huey is just all of a sudden completely in the driver's seat here and just looks to be in magnificent position to win this first game. How does he do that?
Yeah, I don't know how you win this game.
Like, it felt like he was behind for, like, 9 turns in a row.
Yeah, this game was not an easy one to win.
Unbelievable.
For William Jensen. This is why you get to the Hall of Fame.
And Carlos has just bricked off here at the end, too. He's drawn 3 lands. He's got another Domri raid, but frankly, that's just not going to do much here. I mean, he's got to find something spectacular with his Domri raid activation. And he finds a Fanatic, but opponent's at 17 now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too late. The Fanatic might have been good enough a few, maybe 6 turns ago, but that was a long time ago. Now it seems like Huey is any card he could ever want here.
Yeah, Huey's just counter everything mode. He's got so many resources in his hand, he can just sit there and blast them off. Doesn't have to care. He's even got another Sphinx's Revelation that he can do for $1 million whenever he wants. And
approximately.
I mean, I didn't count, but it's an estimation.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah. He draws another one just because why not? Everybody's going to attack Domri raid here. Block Domri raid down, and Carlos Becerra Reyes is completely out of anything. He's got 2 lands in his hand now.
Yeah, and
I mean, he's
Huey's
just top.
board
He's
is just getting completely
yeah,
out of hand.
He's just cold top decking now. And he hits Chandra. I mean, that's one of the better draws he can have, but who cares, right? It's just irrelevant, yeah. Huey can draw 8 on end step and gain 8 life if he chooses. And since this deck has Elixir of Immortality, he doesn't have to be shy about it either. He doesn't have to, oh, I guess I'm winning too much. No, you can just blast it for the full amount as long as it doesn't kill you.
You can win as much as you want
to. Yeah, he's going to dissolve again. And the reason isn't because, that card is like so important. It's going to put a hit on Elspeth's loyalty count, but it's just because why not? He's got everything he needs.
I mean, there's no reason for him to not do that.
Draw 6.
Yeah.
Draw 5, excuse me, still. Go back up to above 20. He takes a quick glance at what it is that he drew, but in reality, he's just going to start shipping these guys and getting down to business here. It is time for Huey to close this game out.
Yeah, probably just going to go ahead and detention sphere the Frostburn Weird, because why not?
And then he can get in for 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He can get in for 11.
First card.
Yeah, just swaying with the team. It's still a 2-turn clock.
Send it.
Block a Mutavault, get in for 9. And blank your draw step for the turn, and that's going to do it. Huey up a game in the semis. Unbelievable stuff. That was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
An absolute
well
pleasure.
Played.
An absolute pleasure.
Go through 22 turns without really making any real mistakes. That's hard to do.
Man.
Well done.
That was just sick.
That's fun to watch, man.
I'm kind of just in awe about, he just felt behind so far and so, through the
His opponent activated a Planeswalker for 8 turns in a row?
Right. I wonder if Carlos should have been even more
Aggressive with his
defensive.
spells?
No, defensive about
Protecting his Domri.
you
I
know?
agree that he should have been more defensive about his Domri.
Yeah, I wonder if he should have just been
But
like, look, I don't
to be
care
more
what
defensive
happens.
with his Domri, he needed to be more aggressive with his spells.
Okay.
So,
I mean, he also could have just like there's a couple times where he attacked and he could have just left guys back.
yeah, and I mean,
I'm not saying that that's for sure the right play because he did that once and we saw Huey say, "Okay, Wrath your board, activate my Mutavault attack." So maybe he's just throwing away damage if he plays it that way. But it's just like natural. It's like my human instinct now to try to figure out what happened there because it just felt like Carlos was so dang far ahead.
Well, I think the major thing that happened is Carlos played a little scared. Carlos had 7 cards in his hand, not 7, but 5, somewhere in the 5 to 7 range, because he had been hitting creatures of his Domri, and he was pretty far ahead, and he had the board. He was winning on the board. So instead of committing more to the board, he thought, well, I don't want to play into Supreme Verdict and get blown out. I'm just gonna sit here and use the board advantage I have, and that's what we're gonna do. When in reality, he should have been committing more cards to the board.
Okay.
You really need to force your opponent to tap out for those Supreme Verdicts. Otherwise, they're gonna be using that mana for other things.
Okay.
And just Huey can very easily just take 5 and do something else relevant over the course of 2 turns. But if you present 8 damage, then he's absolutely forced to use the Supreme Verdict.
Okay.
And when he's absolutely forced to use his Supreme Verdicts right away, then things like, his Stormbreath Dragon was also in his opening hand. And he didn't play it until turn 11 or 12.
Okay.
And, I mean, he had opportunities where Huey was tapped out, and Huey would not have had the Elspeth to deal with it had he played it earlier.
Yeah, I think the card that I thought was most instrumental for Huey winning was Jace, Architect of Thought.
Yeah.
Because what he was able to do is maneuver himself in a position where Jace mitigated the threats and forced Carlos to play more threats, and then he got more value out of his Supreme Verdicts. Where, I mean, there was turns where Huey was way, way, way behind, played Jace, and somehow found himself in a position to win that game. Incredible stuff from Hall of Famer.
Some impressive architecture
Huey
of thought
Jensen.
there.
Yeah, it was impressive. Now, I don't have any updates on our side table. You guys can take a look at the sideboards, try to figure out what Carlos wants to bring in. Pithy Needle seems nice.
Yeah, he probably wants these needles for the opposing Jaces. Mistcutter Hydra is definitely a good one.
Xenagos?
Xenagos definitely also. And I think Destructive Revelry too. I mean, Carlos has a pretty live sideboard here. He gets to have all of those cards, plus the haste creatures that he initially had. Post-board, this is going to be tough for Huey. It's a tough game 1, but it gets tougher now.
Destructive Revelry on a Detention Sphere seems nasty.
It is.
Yeah, that's really good.
Huey, however, does have the absolute worst card for Carlos to see.
Which is?
Blind Obedience.
Okay.
Blind Obedience is the card you want against this haste type of strategy.
Okay.
And Blind Obedience isn't something most people have these days. It's a card that was very much in vogue back when, I guess, about a year ago, when Gatecrash first came out. Blind Obedience very quickly became a pretty awesome card because everybody was playing these Thundermaw, Hellkite, hasty type decks. Now there's not really that hasty hue to anything anymore. But when you do play against these Stormbreath Dragon decks, it's hard to win as a control strategy.
Sure.
Because you're trying to, beat their best cards with sorcery speed stuff. And their best cards are dealing you damage and then, dying maybe the next turn. So,
I heard some clapping. So somebody won something on that back table. I don't know if Ben won or if Marlon won.
It looks like Marlon won.
Your body language read is telling you that Marlon is the victor here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to get that update for you guys in just a second. I heard some clapping over there, so. I guess if Ben punches Marlon, we'll know that Marlon won. But yeah, Ben shows me that he's actually just a real nice guy and shakes the hand there.
He's an awesome dude.
He is. He is an awesome dude. There's
He's
no
not going to
doubt.
get upset about losing a match of Magic cards,
Nope.
He's played enough in his life that losing is something that happens.
Yep. And Marlon Gutierrez.
The Orzhov Control.
Orzhov Control. Now, I think he had written that himself as a designer, but I guess this deck has also had a strong showing at Vienna. I wasn't able to watch the coverage for Vienna, so I missed it. But this list apparently narrowly missed making the top 8.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's a known quantity, at least on some level. Calling it rogue,
Yeah.
we probably shouldn't do. But at the
That's
same
definitely
time,
rogue. If a deck
You still
almost top 8'd a GP, it's not it's
Okay.
not like a known archetype.
no. But I'm just
It's,
saying, it's you get what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
we're
no,
on the
I know
same
what you're
page.
saying.
Yeah. So interesting though. Almost got there in Vienna and is now going to be in the finals. We knew this was going to be a tough matchup for Ben. You said it. I mean, he's playing 4 main deck Blood Barons that have protection from Ben's entire list. It's just like, what are you supposed to do?
We were walking by and they were like, "This matchup was really bad for Marlon." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
So,
So
all right, and
Ash
we're
Zealot.
underway here. So Carlos is going to kick things off with an Ash Zealot on the play against Huey, who's just got 1 land so far, but more to join. Huey put on a real clinic in the last game. It was a treat to watch, and we're going to see if he can pull it off again. Here's a Ratchet Bomb, though.
It's a pretty good one.
Ratchet Bomb's interesting in the matchup. It's another way that you can dissuade your opponent from committing too much to the board, thereby buying you a bunch of time just by its existence.
See
Before
an
you
interesting
even
play
use
Carlos has here. He can Burning Tree Emissary into a Pithing Needle, naming Ratchet Bomb.
it. Okay. He can.
I don't hate that play.
He does nothing instead. Passes the turn back. Interesting.
I don't know if I like that. Maybe he wants to use the Pithing Needle for something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think Huey
And
likes
then-
it. He gets a chance to play a divination here on turn 3, not affect the board, and just be like, yeah, man. All right, attack you for 2 again.
Yeah. The thing is that he doesn't want to play the other 2-drop because he doesn't want to get 2 for 1 by the Ratchet Bomb. But the
And-
Pithing Needle would have prevented that.
Yeah, but I think so. So what we're really saying here is that you think he would rather save the Pithy Needle for something other than Ratchet Bomb. That was the decision
Yes,
he made. Okay.
that was the decision he came down to. He decided that saving it for something like a Jace or an Elspeth is going to be more advantageous for him in
Right.
the long run.
And it
I
makes
don't know
some
if that's
sense.
correct.
Yeah,
but
I don't know
but
either.
I see where he's coming.
Yeah,
from.
because you could see if he commits to the board, names Ratchet Bomb, and then Huey's like, sure, Supreme Verdict. It's like, well, okay. All right, but he is just plucking away here. Another 2 damage to Huey puts him down to 12.
And here's Huey playing really well. He has that Ratchet Bomb with 2 counters. His opponent attacks him with an Ash Shell, and he just says, okay.
Yeah.
Why is he going to pop that Ratchet Bomb?
Right, and here's
It's not
Pithy
relevant to
Needle.
him
We're
yet.
going to find out what that's naming for you guys. He names Ratchet Bomb.
Well, no, he didn't name anything yet. If Huey asks him what he wants to name, and he says Ratchet Bomb, Huey cannot activate the Ratchet Bomb.
Oh, right, because it's too late.
Yeah.
So he just did it in response to make sure that he gets value from the Ratchet Bomb, and then he named Jace Architect of Thought after it resolved. So Huey's going to make the Quicken Divination end step play there. Pretty tricky stuff.
It's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, and proceed accordingly. Yeah, so Huey just wanted to make sure that he got something out of that Ratchet Bomb.
That used to basically all be 1 card. We had Factor Fiction, the Quicken Divination play.
Yeah. And Huey plays the land and then just has to discard before passing back. He's got to be happy, though. His opponent is missing land drops and has no real board state going currently. And
Yeah,
Huey's
this
got a
is
bunch of counter
pretty
spells
bad
and
for
stuff.
Carlos.
Yeah, it's quite bad for Carlos. So if he starts hitting lands, maybe he can dig himself back out of this. But we could be seeing a control mirror finals. I know how happy that makes you, Jake.
Yeah, I mean,
And there's
It's cool.
a syncopate. Make sure that Ash Zealot gets exiled. Don't know that he has any way to bring it back, but all right, there we go.
still, I mean, you need to
Third-
keep a proper game state.
Right, 3rd divination of the game here for Huey. And he is just firing these off. I mean, anytime you get a window to resolve a divination against an aggressive deck like this, you're pretty happy. And the 3rd one,
The third one,
Yeah.
with no pressure
With
whatsoever.
just zero pressure on him. Not too bad.
As you see, Huey's at 12, so it's not like he's taken no damage.
Right.
But all of the damage that he's taken thus far was kind of his choice.
Uh-huh.
He could have done something about it. He's using his life total as a resource, which is what you have to do when you're a control player.
That's right. Now, he is not want for cards here. He has a million cards in hand, and he just drew a Sphinx's Revelation.
Yep.
So he's got answers. He's got more card draw. He's got life gain. Really looking to be in a great spot here. And
his deck, basically, it's just a pile of answers.
Yep.
I mean, the only non-answer in his deck, really, is Elspeth, which I guess is an answer. We saw him use it as an answer to Stormbreath Dragon.
Absolutely.
So his threats are answers.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the key with the deck, like what Huey's playing, is to not fall behind. Once you get behind, it can be pretty rough because your counter spells aren't good anymore, and you need to start drawing specific answers. But if you can get a grip like this and have a bunch of lands in play, it is so tough to lose from this spot. Like, I know we're kind of in the middle of this game, but Huey's got to be, 90-something% to win from here? Like, he's not going to screw it up. I don't think that Carlos has any, mind-rackingly good sideboard cards to bring in. And it just means that Huey gets to
really
control
hard
this game.
for Huey to lose this game at this point. Like, Huey's top 10 cards could be lands, and he'd probably still win.
Right.
Because he has triple
Because
revelation
he's going
in
to
hand or
draw
double
all. He has
revelation.
one, but he's going to draw all of them.
Yeah, like in one foul swoop. Just whoop.
Still, Carlos has a bunch of cards in his hand too, and we have seen some pretty dramatic turnarounds today. A couple of Planeswalkers. There's a Mistcutter Hydra. Okay. Maybe some Carlos can find some way to resolve a massive Mistcutter Hydra to finish off Huey. We know it's going to resolve if he casts it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting all that mana going. Yeah, maybe we've got a game here. And now there's Perforos.
Is Perforos going to stick? I can't imagine.
No, I think he's going to negate it. He's also got a dissolve in his hand as well, I believe, as well as a detention sphere which he can use. Yeah, he's like, sure, you can have a Perforos. I'll just detention sphere it next turn. In the meantime, draw 5, gain 5. You cannot negate Perforos? Oh, you can't actually negate Perforos, right? I always forget. It's not an enchantment when it's on the stack when you play it like that, I guess.
Well, it's an enchantment, but it's also a...
Okay, so it's a creature, and yeah, whatever. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Yeah. I get it. I get it. I just always...
so confusing.
It's not even that. I just get mad because I forget it. Like, I'm always just like, oh, it's like this enchantment. I'll just negate it. It's like, nope.
You can annul it.
Yeah. Can't annul it.
All right. Detention sphere.
Detention sphere takes down Perforos and leaves Carlos with just an Ash Zealot.
This is what I think it is. Blind obedience.
You got it.
Oof.
I mean, he's going to leave up dissolve mana there, it looks like. He's going to have to discard a couple here. Discard 1. Yep. All right. Discard a Hallowed Fountain, ship the turn.
Nine lands in play already for Huey here. It's pretty impressive what he's doing with this blue-white deck. I mean, this deck is so cool. Like, he actually just doesn't have win conditions.
Yeah.
Do you know how much I love that?
I like it too.
Oh, man. Is Huey going to be the new Wafo Tapa? That'd be so cool.
All right. Attack with Ash Zealot. Huey's content to just take 2 from the Ash Zealot for a while here, it looks like. That enters battlefield tapped. He's got a couple of mana floating. Looks like he wants to activate Nykthos. Naming red, that's going to add 4. He does have a ton of cards in hand. He really does.
Really
I mean,
has some action.
it's this could get interesting. Domri raid. You can negate that.
Yes.
It's just a question of if you would like to or not.
I imagine he will. I don't think there's really another negate target in the deck.
Yep, negate and pay for blind obedience. Yeah, Carlos doesn't have enough mana to cast. I think he has 1 mana floating or something.
He's 2 floating, but yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Right, pass the turn back, and Huey gets to untap. Still sitting at 12 life with 1,000,000 cards and 1,000,000 lands. Again, rough estimates. And, well, he's going to take 4 here.
Yeah.
Put him to 8.
Just using that life total as a resource, you know?
That's right.
You know, by taking that 4 damage, it means that he doesn't have to spend mana to interact with his opponent. And that means that he can use all of that mana to dump it into his Sphinx's Revelation. And then he can interact with his opponent however he sees fit.
All right. Add 4 mana to my mana pool. Play Fanatic of Mogus.
This is interesting.
That's 5 damage there. That would put Huey
it
down
puts
to
you
3.
at 3?
Though he can also just fire off a huge Sphinx's Revelation, and he does exactly that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's going to go to 10.
After all is said and done, yeah, with the Fanatic.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Finds an Elixir of Immortality, but does not find Supreme Verdict.
No, he hasn't seen one yet this game. There's an Elspeth.
Elspeth's pretty good. Can block his...
There's no way he
Opponent's
took
whole
out
board.
any Supreme Verdicts, right? They're just all in there still.
No, that would be crazy.
Right, so
I mean,
so he just hasn't drawn one yet. I mean, he's drawn 1,000,000 cards, just hasn't seen one. He's got 4 in the
his
deck. I'm
hand is
assuming.
comically large.
Yeah.
Actually, 16 cards.
I mean, did you see when he looked at the cards he drew off Revelation and then picked up the rest of his hand? It's like,
Yeah,
jeez. All right, Elspeth. Make some guys.
That's a pretty good one. And does he have a counterspell in hand? Because it would be nice.
Huey's counting. He
trying to
probably
decide
lost
if
count
he,
of how many cards he has in his hand at some point. All right, he's working his way towards a 7-card hand that he can actually keep. Ditches all lands and ships. So he's got a full grip. He's got Syncopate for 1 plus Dissolve. He's at 10, though. Is there a way that Carlos can pull this game out?
It seems really hard to me, especially with all the counter magic that Huey still has.
Right.
But then again, I mean, I've seen crazier things. Huey's still with that Elixir of Immortality in hand. Probably not going to want to blow that until he finds at least one Supreme Verdict, because then he's going to, you know, thin his library a little bit, or thicken it, rather. Make it harder to find that key card that he really needs.
All right, Carlos sends in the team.
And I
who
wonder
they
where these are
attacking?
going.
They're all
right.
going at Elspeth. And are we going to see Chump, Chump, Chump?
I think we might see a double block on the Fanatic, and then a chump elsewhere. There
Chump,
we go.
Chump, Chump.
Just chumping it.
Yep.
That seems reasonable. Ooh, 5 mana via Nykthos. 6.
Domri.
Domri.
Okay.
3 floating. Let's see. Huey probably going to go ahead and he allows that Domri to resolve. Interesting.
Domri ticks up to 4 and finds a Storm Breath Dragon on the top.
Huh. I mean, maybe
Is there a way?
there could be a way.
This could get quite interesting.
This could get really interesting. Now Huey does have another Planeswalker. He's
Jace
activating that
Architect of
first.
Thought.
That's interesting. Surprised he didn't play the Jace and
Try to find a verdict.
try to find a verdict first.
He played Elixir.
Yep,
Okay.
drains his opponent.
And again, Mutavault hits Domri. Domri's got to be so sick of those Mutavaults.
Doesn't cast the Jace. Leaves open a ton of counter magic. Still hasn't found a copy of Supreme Verdict yet.
It's really weird.
Yeah. I don't think he could side them out, right? He's playing against
Well,
like
I mean,
a red
that's why I
devotion
was
deck.
asking you, not because I thought that he should. I'm just saying, like, is that even a possibility here? Yep, the needle's on Jace.
Oh, the needle did name Jace. Okay, that.
The
This
one
whole
from
thing makes a
turn
lot more
2
sense.
that we
Okay.
can't see on the screen.
Yep.
That one, yeah.
The one that on turn 2 I thought he should have named the bomb.
Right.
Ironically, the extra damage he would have gotten in, this game might have been over right now had he
It's true.
needled that bomb.
Huey's also got a Quicken in his hand. He can use to just, draw a card and try to find it. He also gets to use his Blind Obedience as well to drain yet again.
And he doesn't really have to worry about any sort of hasty problems that might occur because, he has Blind Obedience in play.
That's right. Even the Storm Breath Dragon will become tapped in the face of such nonsense. Okay, attack with the team. And they're all going to go at Elspeth. And Huey says, okay, she can take a hit now.
Yeah.
Reduce your devotion a little bit.
Yeah, I like that he did that. He prioritized the extra red mana in Burning Tree Emissary's mana costs over the extra 2 power on Fanatic Amogus. So for 5 mana, this Nykthos getting tapped, or 4 rather. He's gonna go ahead and he's gonna try to play Stormwrath Dragon. Huey's not gonna let that one resolve.
Syncopate Pay. And it's exiled. All right, so the vice is getting a little tighter here. Kind of feel like Huey's not quite out of the woods yet, but pretty close.
I think he's pretty much out of the woods now.
Okay.
Yeah, because now the Elspeth trumps his enemy's board. Like Carlos, even if he gets like a big haste guy or something, he's not going to be able to use it effectively because of the Blind Obedience. The Blind Obedience has been absolutely absurd this game, by the way.
Right, it really has. It has been doing so much, and once again, Mutavault hits Domri Raid.
Yeah, I think, sorry.
okay.
Huey is just using all of the tools that he has at his disposal just to their maximum effectiveness. This Mutavault is just constantly leaning on his opponent's Domri.
Yes.
His actual, removal spells, it's almost like he doesn't even need them. Like, he hasn't found a Supreme Verdict this game yet.
Right.
Hasn't found one, and he's winning anyway.
It is getting a little bit weird that he hasn't found one, right? I mean, pretty unlucky.
I don't know. When your opponent stalls on 2 lands for like 5 turns, it's hard to.
Yeah, and you resolve a bunch of huge Sphinx's Revelations. It's true.
And the Elspeth is good enough,
I got to say, though, that Carlos still being in this game at all is kind of surprising to me. Like that he's still alive. I guess Huey's deck does take quite a while to finally seal the deal. But it has turned the corner here, it seems. And Huey's poised to be in the finals. Whoever does win
this,
this,
looks pretty good for him.
whoever wins this match is going to play against Marlon Avila, playing black-white control.
Michael Hertz, your event is waiting for you. This is your second time recalling.
And Marlon impressed us a lot by playing a very interesting deck
Your event is waiting for you.
in the Swiss, and we watched him beat a deck featuring Ashen Rider, amongst other things. He battled all the way from that point, didn't lose a match, and then was able to find himself here in the top 8.
Right.
Pretty awesome.
And he's going to play the Jace here. Not able to use it, but that doesn't have to stay that way forever.
At some point, I mean, he may get to Detention Spirit for some reason.
Carlos pluses Domri Raid after scrying, but doesn't find what he's looking for.
Carlos is trying to find out if there's any way that he can force through enough damage to win this game.
Mizium Mortars.
Huh. Overloaded Mizium Mortars? I mean, it's just going to eat a counterspell, I imagine, but...
Is a quicken so far, and a quicken with a payment to the Blind Obedience. Okay. It's going to set back Huey a fair bit here and threaten his Elspeth. So it looks like he's going to line up Dissolve and pay for Blind Obedience. So up it goes.
Yep, and he's just... Now he has suddenly taken the lead in terms of life total.
Yep.
All with that Blind Obedience.
Indeed.
Blind Obedience drained his opponent for 5 and gained him 5 life already, in addition to saving him probably another 20-something life over the course of the game by stopping haste damage.
The grindiness.
Oh, the grindiness.
And there it is, the Supreme Verdict, though
At this
now
point.
he's ahead on board. Remember, he's also got that Elixir of Immortality sitting on the battlefield, too, so Huey's sitting actually at 20 virtual life here. And as we've remarked since he turned the corner in this game, which was on turn 3 when his opponent missed a land drop, he's been in a great spot. And he wants to get Jace going, so he's going to Detention Sphere the Pithy Needle. Take a look at 3, Azorius Charm Dissolve, and a Ratchet Bomb.
I think he wants to dissolve.
He takes the Dissolve.
It's a hard counterspell. He's ahead.
Yes.
When you're ahead and you have more cards in your hand than your opponent, putting hard counterspells into your hand is just about the coolest thing you can do.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to try to line up an attack to take down Domri Raid here, potentially. Yeah, first things first.
5 guys at that Domri. I like that.
Lose 2 of them. No bother. Plus Elspeth, grab another Owen token. Go. Carlos draws another Nykthos. Is the writing on the wall here?
I mean, he has a miscutter, but at this point it doesn't really do anything because all his tokens are white and
They just block it.
they do block it.
Also,
It comes into play tapped because of
it
blind
comes
obedience.
into play tapped as well. Yeah, things are just getting out of hand quickly here, and I think we're going to see this game end in short order here, especially depending on if Carlos taps
Well, not
out.
necessarily short order. I mean, this could go for a while. Yeah, that's true.
You don't put Huey on the type of guy to fire off that Elspeth.
Do you think he wants to juice it? Juice camera time a little bit?
I don't think
He
that's
doesn't
why.
strike me as that type of guy.
No. And that's going to do it
That's
right
it.
there. Huey Jensen is our winner. He is going to advance to the finals, finds himself in yet another Grand Prix finals. He won Grand Prix Oakland
Which was
earlier
limited.
this year, which was limited. You know, we were talking about
One of the harder limited formats, too.
it is. It was M14.